Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we're going to give all praises to Yahweh, and we do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai. I just wanted to get on here real quick and speak on some things that, has been, concerning me about our people and the ignorance of our people based off of the dispensation of time that we're in and the prophecies that we're in right now. See, again, when you starting to see the world get back to what supposedly is normal, what happens is our mindset get laxed and we go right back into sleep again. Shalom. We go right back to sleep. So what's happening is the scriptures talks about how in the last days wickedness is gonna come, and that's what's gonna be the forefront of the prophecy is wickedness, not only from our oppressors and not only from the brothers, not only from our oppressors and not only from the people that's or have oppressed us. Right? See, what happens is we forget about that and we go right back into the deep sleep and a deep state of slumber. Again, another thing that bothered me was the fact that I rode past a hospital yesterday, and they had, this is a hospital, an emergency room, and one of them urgent cares right next to each other, and they had two extra tents that was in the parking lot that had a sign on it that had a cross and it had MASH written across it. I don't know if y'all remember that movie or that show that used to come on late night back in the day. It was called MASH. It usually come on like around 1 o'clock in the morning. It was about military, about war. So they have two of these tents, these humongous tents with oxygen tanks and everything that's in there. So what we have to understand, there's no time in history where your oppressors or your enemies have given you something for free and not required anything from you. There's nothing free in this world. So there's a requirement of payment, whether we read the fine linings or not. So I'm going to go to the book of Sirach, right? Chapter 12 and starting at verse 10. It says, "Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so does his wickedness." And what iron does when it rusts, it hides the beauty of it, right? So what happens is if you buff away that rust, the beauty of that particular iron is still there, or their true nature is still there if we clean it up, right? It says, "Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, lest thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away." We have to look at how this COVID-19 came in, right? There was no vaccinations. They could not find no vaccinations, and the vaccinations that they had, they were storing them up for, I guess, the elite. We're talking about someone that has the antidote or has the ingredients to make a vaccination, and then they could not find vaccinations. And now what's happening is they are testing the ignorant for free. Remember, your enemy is not going to give you nothing for free. Just like these flu shots that a lot of people took and became sick. So now what's happening is when you go take a COVID-19 test and they tell you it's harmless, it's harmless, don't worry about it, it's just a swab, right? What happens when you swab a person's mouth? the DNA of that person is on that Q-tip. So you thinking that you're going to go getting a COVID-19 test, but really what you have going on is the government collecting data. Because the numbers that they thought that they were going to get with their man-made COVID-19, right? They didn't get. Why? Because they didn't take into factor the DNA of different people. So something that may make one person sick may not make the other person sick. They may have an immunity to it. So when you go and you give them your information for free via COVID-19 testing sites, and they swab your they swab your cheek with the Q-tip. Now they have the information from all the dummies that went and got this test. And now they have an understanding on the next pandemic of that they want to do to kill more people. And these testing sites are really located in the bulk of the African American community. So we have to understand this. The scriptures tells us that we're not supposed to trust our enemies. No matter how much they come to you and they plead with you, again, there's nothing wrong with treating somebody cordial. But when you putting your trust in somebody, that's where we go wrong. And if somebody gives us a job, give us some things, they say that that's a pretty nice person, and they start to let their guard down. So this is what our government is doing right now. And they're collecting data. They're collecting data for that next pandemic. How can you have a cold? I heard this too. Someone say that it's going to be another round of COVID-19. If we know anybody know anything about a flu, the same flu will not come back the very next year, or you will not have the same case of that same flu, because the mass of the people they build immunity to the actual cold. So again, we need to be smart. Do not give them your DNA. Do not give them the things. If they have your DNA, they have everything that makes your body work on how that they can use your DNA to test certain germs and test certain flu bugs and stuff to see if it will it actually infect you. So again, I'm going to read this. Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so does his wickedness. Though he humble himself. Food stamps, Medicaid, subsidies, all of the stuff that they're doing right now, food closets and all that type of stuff like that, that's the humbling process that he's showing you, right? And what happens is, and as long as they show us a little bit something that our people can't afford to do it to you for, what you do, you start to let your guard down. Okay, it says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, you be as him as thou be unto him as thou had wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away, meaning that he still has some wickedness in him. So we're not supposed to trust our enemies. So again, who is your enemies? We're going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and we're going to read verse 68. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. Again, it's talking about your homeland. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Who was the so-called African Americans when they came into modern day Egypt on slave ships? Who were they sold to? So this is your enemy that the scriptures talks about. And any other nation that had us in captivity, but this is the modern day Egypt that it's talking about. So we can't trust them because they are we can't trust them because they are enemies according to scriptures. I just wanted to get on here to I guess, open somebody's eyes about these free COVID-19 testing sites. It may seem harmless, but we have to use our minds when we do that. They don't just take the swab and test it and throw it away. Look at it. It's collected. And if they collect enough DNA, now they know what they have to do to be able to create another virus that can potentially destroy or kill more people. So I pray that this has opened someone's eyes about that particular subject. I just felt the right that I had to get on here to say that, because it seems like a lot of our people is continue to be rocked to sleep, because I can tell, because they're still riding around in their car with masks on and stuff like that. So with that, I say shalom.